Hey, what's up YouTube? As you guys can see, I'm at 2,200 medals, which is top 1,500 in the world. In today's video, I'm going to be covering some pretty tricky matchups. In the first game, it's going to be Giant Beatdown, second game Lava Hound, and then we're going to cover Mortar and then another Lava Hound game at the end. So make sure you guys stick around till the end. I'll leave some timestamps in the description if you guys want to check specific matchups. I'll be talking about things like game strategy, matchups, specific knowledge, interactions, things like that. It'll kind of be a guide for various levels of skill. I mean, if you're like a top 200 player, then maybe not, but anyone else, I'm sure you can learn something from the video. So the first thing in this game that I was doing was obviously trying to identify his deck. He's played Mega Mini, he's played Giant. That's enough basically to tell me that he's playing Giant Control deck with Prince, and sometimes they run double Prince, but that's not the meta version. This guy Fireballs, which is already kind of interesting, because the most meta version of this deck actually runs Lightning. But this deck is actually becoming very common. It's been common now for a few seasons, especially after the Prince got buffed, God knows when, with the Ram Rider. It's just been kind of meta. So this guy wastes his Prince on the left. I know he doesn't have it in cycle. Then he wastes a Mega Minion, so I just change lanes, and I go in. Because he doesn't have really any good way of dealing with that push, I can just easily go in and also get loads of value on defense. As you can see here, my Firecracker just cleans up. I do go for Skeletons as well, just because I don't really want to take any damage unnecessarily. His weakness of his deck is that he kind of struggles to get guaranteed damage against my deck, whereas I can basically always get guaranteed damage, which means my focus for this matchup should be more on the defense than the offense. The way in which you lose this matchup is going for that unnecessary hog at some point in the game. It gets like maybe one hit or zero hit to play it like into a charging Prince, and that's kind of how you lose the game. So if you're like really solid on your defense and you know how to defend, you pretty much can't lose this matchup. But yeah, I mean, look, I go for a hog now at this point. Firecracker lineup because I know he has to go for a Prince. If I had reacted quicker, I could have logged that a bit quicker, probably kept my Firecracker alive. But I play Skeletons directly on the Prince. If I play them far away, if he's hovering a zap, he could zap them. So I just let them go. I go for a hog because the Dagger Duchess, like most of its arrows are gone. Like loads of its arrows were gone from the Evo Skellies. My Mega Minion, after doing such a great work on defense, is still going to counter his Mega Knight. And you can see how I defend this. Earthquake on defense, slow everything down. Beautiful log value. Firecracker got that one really important shot. I popped the bomb just so that these like half HP support troops are now all like at a quarter HP. And that's it. That was like beautiful defense. I'd suggest rewatching that if you guys are like wondering how you defend these giant pushes. Let everything clump together. Get a really nice Firecracker. Like, I think I do this exact same thing pretty much again. You can see it's kind of a routine. You just pull everything in, like, group it all together. In this case, I go for a second cannon. And then I just get back to my second Evo Firecracker. If you guys are going to ask me why am I using Evo Skellies instead of Evo Cannon, it's mainly because of decks like this. Evo Cannon helps out against a lot of matchups, but I kind of just feel like Evo Skellies are better unless you're, like, playing top ladder where you keep playing against the new boss bandit. The boss bandit, and they often run things like a zap or whatever, you kind of need a card like guards, which is a better alternative. It's kind of up for debate what the better variation of this deck is. I do take a little bit of damage here, but I think this version of this deck is better unless you're like right at the top of ladder. If you're like, when I get top 1k, hopefully, I'll probably swap to the guards version just because of the boss bandit and, you know, how hard it is to deal with that. You kind of need guards that can't really be spelled. That's kind of the one good thing about guards. So as you can see, look, I'm just keeping my cannons alive. I'm just having really nice defense, using Skellies to always try and tank for, you know, my Mega Minion or whatever. E-Spirit as well. Okay, I should probably mention why I'm using E-Spirit. You absolutely can use Ice Spirit, so, I mean, don't think that you can't. But I think E-Spirit is really good because of bats, especially. They're so useful. And also just things like Sparky, great. Decks like this, like I can just instantly change to support troops. And then the Firecracker and like Earthquakes just do so much to just get rid of all these support troops. So that's why I prefer E-Spirit. But Ice Spirit's totally cool. You know, if you want to play that, that's also fine. This is just more like really clean defense. I use the bomb again. I actually had to kill the bomber. Well, maybe not the most necessary bomb. You can see how I'm like, you see how my Firecracker just died and I'm already back to another one? That's something else you should pay attention to. It's just how I'm cycling Firecrackers and abusing the 3-card cycle. When they go Giant in the back, I go Mighty Miner in the back. Anyway, I hope you guys learned something. So in this next matchup, I'm going to be playing against Lava Hound. So I go for a Hog, I'm hovering my log. He messes up his Tombstone, which is great. And he plays Barbs. And so at this point, I'm like 100% sure what deck this is. And something I'm also keeping track of is, like, I've noted 2 things in my mind at this point. I've noted that he's playing Lava Hound, but also that I know Lava Hound doesn't have a lot of ground cards, and he just used 2 of them, which means he's already going to have a pretty difficult time dealing with, like, a Mighty Miner. So if I play Mighty Miner at the bridge, probably has to go for, like, Skelly Drags or Inferno Dragon. If he was Inferno Dragon, I just swap lanes. So just something I'm keeping in mind. Here he goes for his Skelly Drags. I thought I'd just get some guaranteed Hog damage. I mean, that's still 2 crazy hits. And this is how you can defend Skelly Drags. If you guys didn't know, you can just go for your E-Spirit up high and then just kite everything with Skellies. Skelly Drags, they're kind of wide, the 2 of them combining, so often when you try and kite them, you only manage to kite one of them. So that's kind of how you can kite both. Again here, I'm just keeping track. So I go Mighty Miner in the back because he's already played a few cards. He had his Tombstone in cycle. He pre-places his Tombstone, which I think is a bit of a mistake. I think he should have just kept that in hand. He wastes his Zap as well, which is nice for me. So now I know he doesn't have Tombstone. He wastes his Mega Minion. That's my cue to go in, because that Mega Minion is dead, right? So I spent 1 Elixir, and now I know he's going to go Barbs. So I just hog, and I just go for this. When I made this play, actually what I should have done is let the Mega Minion go on the left, and then go hog on the right side. Go on, basically Mega Minion Firecracker on the left side, and then just hog the right side. Because I don't think he could have defended that, and I probably would have got a lot more damage. But I'm still in a really good spot at this point. He just, you know, I'm just going to go in for the punish. Like, I don't think this guy has too much Elixir. I go in. If he goes for his Tombstone, my Evo Skellies are still going to do loads of damage. I log. I think I managed to get 1 hit. No, I was too slow on the log. But I instantly go in for a Mighty Miner. See how I'm, like, keeping up the pressure? I have my Evo Firecracker, placing it low, just basically being a nuisance, like, constantly. Look at this Evo Firecracker. I mean, I'm just not letting him Lava Hound. I go hog again, I'm hovering. This time I just prediction Earthquake, I think. Yeah, I just let go of it, because I know he's going to go for an Earthquake. I was hoping that E-Spirit would chain on the Skellies, but it's fine. I'm just constantly keeping up the pressure. Now I go for a Firecracker, just to make sure this dies. My Firecracker does absolutely nothing, as always. I'm going in again, and he goes Lava Hound, kind of out of desperation, because he's sort of getting outplayed here. I'm just going all in, and I think that balloon was kind of his death note. I mean, that was like a picture-perfect game. There were very few mistakes. I think at the start there was one thing I could have done better, but in general, that was like a picture-perfect game. So again, I would suggest rewatching that if you struggle against Lava Hound. So in this next game, I'm playing against Mortar bait. I go for Skellies at the bridge, and I cycle a hog. So I'm just hovering my log, go for E-Spirit for his bats. This is another reason why I just love the E-Spirit. It's just, look at that. Look at that value on the E-Spirit. Go for a Firecracker. I get a nice Firecracker hit. I go for a, what do you call it? I go for a Mega Minion, log, beautiful defense. And so in this matchup, it's actually a pretty simple matchup to win. The only card that gives you a lot of difficulty and is the reason you could lose this is basically the Cannon Cart. Cannon Cart is a really annoying card to deal with in general, but since you don't always want to have to waste your Mighty Miner on the Cannon Cart, it means that you are sometimes vulnerable if you don't have it in cycle. And sometimes you just don't want to play it, you want to use the tank on Mortar or something, you know? So I get an insanely good start to the game. I mean, the guy just got smoked. Here I go for a cannon at the bridge, and then I go for my Firecracker, and I get just like, look at this defense. I mean, Earthquake hits everything, Firecracker's chaining, everything's dead, and it's like, okay, kind of just won right there. So I go in for a hog, E-Spirit in case he goes bats. He does go for Evo bats, and at this point I was like, ah shit, I kind of forgot he had that in cycle. Mighty Miner bomb is probably the best way of dealing with it, so I go for that. I hit basically everything, and then I go Evo Skellies onto his Miner. He gets a little bit of chip damage, but that was just really clean defense in general. Not really anything to complain about as far as matchup goes. If you're losing this matchup, it's most likely because of the Cannon Cart and you're getting overwhelmed. You have to keep track of their Evo Mortar in general. Dealing with mortars, you generally just, like, if you go for an Earthquake and Log, I think you have to tank 2 hits. Here I go for a Prediction Log just so that he can't go for his Goblin Gang. And that gives me 2 hits. If he went for his he did that on purpose. If he went for his Goblin Gang, I would have gotten so much damage. There he tries to predict my Evo Cracker. I kind of ignore the goblins on the left. Don't really need to waste them, even though my Firecracker goes for them. You see how I'm just trying to deal with that cannon cart, like, as the main priority. So I went for a cannon up high, basically sacrificed it just to kill it. Then here I get a really, really nice Earthquake off, slows everything down, hits the mortar, hits, well, everything basically. I actually get King Tower here, which is pretty hilarious. And again, the way I'm thinking I'm going to win this is probably by spell cycling. I could hog here, for example, but I also couldn't hog. I mean, it's kind of a choice. I go for a hog mainly because I just want to apply pressure. Actually, sometimes the way you can lose also by being too passive. I kind of remember thinking that during the game, is that I could win this by spell cycling, but then I'm just going to be defending the rest of the game, and I don't want to just be so passive where if I make one mistake on defense, I'll lose. So I might as well hog. Again, East Spirit just coming in clutch. I'm just Earthquaking, and yeah, that's all she wrote. 1 log, and that's GG's. Here, the final game was against Lava Hound as well. I want to show you guys this because it's actually a pretty funny game. So I go for a hog, get a hit. He's got barbs. Basically, when your opponent plays barbs, if you're like... I mean, it depends. If you're like in mid-ladder, I wouldn't take this tip as being useful. But if you're an Ultimate Champion, if they play barbs, they're playing Lava Hound. There's no other deck that runs barbs. And basically everyone who runs barbs is going to be running some version of Lava Hound. So, again, with that knowledge in mind, I already know what deck he's playing. I go in, I know he doesn't have barbs, so it's not a bad play. But I'm also not going too aggressive, right? I'm not just wasting my hog. I go for an Earthquake just to make sure that Mighty Miner gets to the tower. And he just decides to sack it. I mean, Mighty Miner just rinses the entirety of his tower. And since I don't have a Firecracker, I have to cycle a few cards, and I guess he's sort of banking that that's how he'd win. But he has a Fireball, and he misses it. I go for a hog to pull it back. I actually didn't notice it, like, till quite a while that he missed the Fireball. And I was like, at this point, I was like, what? He missed? So, yeah, I thought we were going to tower trade, but I guess not. As you'll see, this game is far from over. He manages to build a ridiculously big lava push, and I have to pull off some pretty crazy defense to defend. So I kind of will show you guys how I do that. I have a lot of damage. I have a good lead, but against Lava Hound, especially with this deck, if you mess up, you only have 1 air card. You can get 3 crowned like it's nothing. So what I went for here was actually just to try and take his left tower, because I sort of thought my left tower is going to be really vulnerable. I could have also played passively and played to defend, but I thought that it would be easier if I just tried and got some damage. He goes into support those skeleton dragons, goes loon, the rest of this nonsense, and my Evo Firecracker is just popping off on that Lava Hound. Like, genuinely, it's insane. And look at this. I actually saved the tower. Both towers are just up and running. So now it's a 2-0 advantage to me, and yet this game still gets sketchy. So I go for a Firecracker. My Evo Firecracker gets a really nice shot before it dies, so Log will basically take out the barbs. I go for Skellies, I go for East Spirit, I'm kind of just defending. I go for a hog in the middle, which I'm not so sure about that hog. You know, if I had to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't go for the hog. But I get a really nice bomb, like basically just deletes everything. I get a nice East Spirit off, and here I'm like starting to get worried, because if he like lava's the pocket or something, it could get really dicey. Go for a cannon. You can go for either at the bridge or 1 tile lower. Both of them will pull basically any loon placement. Beautiful Firecracker, and even though he took my left tower, this game was like, I don't know, it was just funny. But anyway, that's how I got to 2,200. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you sub, make sure you like the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!